Hey, Larry. Hello, Larry G. Brown.
Hey, I'm coming up.
Gotcha. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
How's everything in the Pacific Northwest?
It's good. Yeah, I'm just coming off of a couple weeks of leave, so I'm just trying to get my bearings straight. I just finished up a boot camp, PMP boot camp, so I'm needless to say, I'm pretty much committed to that right now. So,
Good for you, man.
other than that, things are good.
Um, were your ears burning today?
No, why?
So Don and I we're looking at our October schedule, and there's a Society of Military Engineers that have asked us to do a workshop on transition.
Okay.
And we were sitting together in person at our favorite coffee shop, which is close to my house. And we were looking at people that we felt really got the principles of transition and how to use certain aspects of your transition. So you're on the short list if you're available.
Okay.
I'm just want to let you know, it's like we went through all our students and said, okay, of all the students we have, who fits the parameters of what we're trying to express? So you're on the short list. I don't know,
Okay.
but it's Don's show. Okay. I'm just like, he's the engineer. I'm just the retired public affairs guy,
I like it. Sounds great.
Yeah. Anyway, by the way, I was just while we're waiting for everybody else, I was going to take a quick look at your profile. Did you make those adjustments I asked you to consider?
I did. Well, I mean, you can look at it and see if I did.
I'm looking at it right now. Okay, good. Like that. Yeah. Perfect. This is perfect.
I even went and did a couple. I know at one point you guys mentioned writing recommendations for people, and I wrote 2 recommendations. So
nice.
To try to demonstrate that skill and capability. So yeah, I think that I've tried to incorporate as much. I mean, this is, as you know, I mean, this is it's like a foxhole. You're always trying to improve your fighting position, and I'll work on it a little bit, make some modifications. I'll forget about it for a week, and then come back and make more updates, more adjustments. I'll see something, hear something, and
yeah. No, this is, I like the foxhole analogy. I use the idea of the big ice cream sundae, right? You ate it all at once, man, what's going to happen? You're going to get sick, right?
Right.
If you take a bite here, a bite there, I'm thinking of like eating all that ice cream and get that nasty ice cream headache that you get.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, I like the foxhole. That's even better. I'm gonna work on that. The foxhole.
Because I mean, initially you dig your hole and you just lay down, and then you're laying there a little bit longer. It's like, well, I got to make this a little bit deeper. I got to make this a little bit wider.
Wouldn't it be nice if I had to step here to get out if I had to?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. No, I like what I'm seeing here, Larry.
Good.
How's the coach?
So I'm
sorry.
It's good. I mean, it's taken up a lot of time. I mean, it's time well spent. But I was thinking, it's about a 4-hour commitment every night because I got to drive out there to where they're at, which is about 35 minutes to. They live in Yelm, and then I got to drive 45 minutes back up to my house, and then it's a 2-hour practice. So it's about a 4-hour commitment. 3 nights a week. Right in the middle. I'm trying to finalize some of my physical paperwork. So before I can go to talk to my VSO, I have to put together all this documentation that leads to a Army physical that then goes on top of your claim. But that requires, it's like a research paper where you have to go and, annotate and list out all the things that have happened to you. I mean, this. And
I don't know this.
It's not.
But let me tell you this. I tell you who does know this and is a master at this. In fact, I'm making the introduction to you and him right now. His name is Chad Moniz. He's a retired light colonel. He has he knows the documentation game better than anybody I know. right?
Yeah,
So I'm gonna just, I'm making an introduction to you right now and follow up with him. Yeah,
I will.
he's the
And
guy.
that's, you know, so
He's the
yeah, and then
resource within. Good.
well, you know, they want you to annotate everything, you know, go back into your repository of information and list everything out. And it's like, well, oh my gosh, you know, this could be like an endless list. And then you have to find, you know, doctors. And I think really what you need is the issue and then the time, and then they can go back and validate that against your paperwork. But still, I mean, it's like, well, I hope I don't miss anything. So it kind of becomes this like no fail event.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
that
it's money in your pocket. That's all I have to say. Plus,
and that's what my boss is telling me. Is like, listen, you know, I mean, you're doing yourself a favor by putting this much time, energy, and effort into it. So
yeah, I wish I'd known what I know now because I had one of my friends said, "You're not 100% disabled." No, that's a shame. Okay,
yeah,
well,
well, they
I'm
just raised the COLA just went up. My boss is getting a $600 raise because they just increased the cost of living.
yeah. I
Um,
just thought I got mine today. It was a pretty nice chunk of. It was a nice chunk of change. But
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm going after a couple things because I've talked to my county VSO, and they said you need to get this, you need to address this. And the other thing was another person said on the sleep apnea thing, I need to really go after that. So I have to call. I refer to them as my children's mother. You know,
hmm
my former wife. It sounds like you're
yeah.
in the joint custody kind of thing. Does that sound about
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know all
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Okay. I was picking up on the cues, like, oh, okay, but good on you for being part of their life. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it would, and that's, you know, I made the decision, like, you know, I would rather be
yeah,
remembered as a good dad than a good soldier. So I could have gone off and done amazing things in the army, but being completely out of their life, and I just wasn't going to make that decision. So
yeah. Well, that there's a lot to be said for that, Larry. And
yeah,
I can tell you that I've been married to the same lovely lady for 25 years. It'll be 25 years on Monday. And she really at times, well, no, you're going to spend time with your children. Okay. No,
yeah,
make time. Got to drive from San Antonio to Houston and get them. Yeah, do it. Right.
yeah,
Don't
yeah. That's
argue.
one of the things that I've told, you know, there is. I got, you know, peers of mine. I said the best thing you can do is, you know, don't miss it. Don't miss a weekend or a visitation. You know, accept more time if they'll give it to you. I always make myself available. So
Gotcha. Well, I good on you. I'm supporting you because I can tell you right now, I have a very good relationship with my two children from the previous marriage. Then I
yeah,
inherited a stepdaughter. Anytime you want to talk about having a stepdaughter who's 12 going on, yeah,
uh,
those are some fun years. But she's now 37 and has her own daughter. So it's like, that's just like, those are
payback.
no pleasant memories. It's like, I had a support group.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I had a support group. Good. Hello, D.
Hello there, how are you?
I'm good. How's everything in Scott Air Force Base?
Not bad.
You might know somewhere in my St. Louis Cardinal official polo shirt, right?
Nice, I see that.
Yep, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the team. I'm not such a big fan of some of their color guys on their broadcast because I have the MLB package. So yeah,
Yeah, I've been to a couple of their games here. It's a nice stadium and everything.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. If I get up there, I probably ask her. Well, I have lots of friends. I'd ask her advice where to park and all that because I'm like most people. I like to overpay for things. You know what I'm saying? Don't mind for the experience, but I don't like to overpay.
it actually wasn't bad for parking. From what I remember, it was really easy to get to if you get there early enough, and it,
Yeah,
it wasn't outrageous.
that's good. I see that my colleague is here. Hello, Brother Gleason.
Hello, brother. Sure.
How you doing?
Brother, twin sons of different mothers. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm just saying hello.
Okay.
Um,
I just got done doing 2 debriefs back to back. So
I got, and I know you're heading out here in a little bit too. So I'm
I don't know that I'm going to. I'm not sure yet. I'll
okay,
probably just stay here.
well, I was just gonna say if you had to roll on, I'm good with that. Okay.
Okay.
Did you get my note about the VFW?
I have not looked. I've been on meetings
Okay.
for 3 or 4 hours.
So got some good news there.
Okay.
They said, yeah, we can get you some money. So look at the email. Hello, Trevor.
Hi, Don. Hi, Matt.
Hi
Hey,
there.
good,
How you doing?
good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Good to be seen. Not sure who it was who said that. Good to be seen. Good to be above the green grass.
It was from a movie, I think.
What's a saying that somebody uses? Kind of like Dave Ramsey and better than, how you doing? Better than I deserve.
Yeah.
And people don't think about it, but he's always talking about, I'm a sinner and I deserve death.
I hear that.
But I've been given grace.
Hey, by the way, I have the slides ready whenever you're ready to do the educational minute. Okay.
You're leading this one.
I know. I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
I am
Okay.
leading this one. I'm going to give another minute.
Okay. Hey, Larry.
Hey, Don, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good to see you. You got a minute afterwards? We've got an
Absolutely.
idea. I'd love to see if you can participate in a couple weeks.
For sure.
Okay. Doesn't look like you're in Florida with the sunshine out the window there. So
No, it was rainy yesterday, but we got a little bit of sun today. So can't
good.
figure out what it wants to do here in the Northwest.
Yeah. Well, you guys need rain. So just like we do in Texas.
We'll take it in small dabs, not 16 inches. We don't need that, but we definitely could use some water.
Or 50 inches like Hurricane, what was it?
Katrina.
No,
it was Andrew.
No. Andrew was Homestead. Katrina was New Orleans. Michael was Panama City.
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Yeah.
I'm good. Excited about today.
So Lindsay was in another.
We're excited to have you.
And we're what we do, Lindsay, with new arrivals, we're gonna do one thing. You'll see the process, and then of how we start these meetings, and then we'll ask you to introduce yourself. If you want to share your wins and challenges, you can do that. I'm going to get started here since got a nice quorum of people with today's educational moment. And this is on how to connect on the mobile side of LinkedIn. And it's something that is kind of complicated. Should be easy, but there's a twist to this. So when you reach out to people on the mobile side of LinkedIn, obviously you want to find the connect button, but don't touch that connect button, because that's what most people will do. I was at a event the other day and the guy says, let me connect with this person. And he hit connects. No, don't do that. Okay. Why not? Because you want to you'll see those 3 little dots right next to it. Those 3 little dots. This is what you want to look for. Those 3 little dots will get you this message, which is the personalized invite. And once you have the personalized invite, you can make a favorable impression. And here's the things that I would tell you when you're writing that personalized invite. What's your offline connection? What do you hope to achieve in this connection? And the request to connect. Thoughts, questions? Has anybody ever missed the opportunity to hit the 3 dots when you're doing a mobile connection request?
I mean, I've used it, but I don't always do the personalized message. Sometimes, for example, the connection you just tied me in with for the transitions documents,
Yeah,
because there's already been somewhat of a connection made. It just seems like an added layer to go back and do it again. I think if it's like a cold call kind of a deal, it makes a lot of
Right.
sense, but the actual, like, I'm linking you up with somebody seems like it's just easier to connect.
and I'm okay with that, but I will say this, when you meet people, right? You're meeting someone, right? You're at like trade show, you're at Rotary Club, you're at a Chamber of Commerce, and you say, hey, I really want to follow up with them. The problem is when you don't know about the three dots, because maybe they'll forget, well, how did I meet Larry Brown? So it's always good to say, well, I met you with this, and I enjoyed talking about this. And we said we should connect with each other on LinkedIn. So here's my connection request. Larry?
I can't tell you how many times with so many meetings that we run, Matt and I, meeting so many different
Yeah,
people and talking
yeah,
about things and just
yeah.
helping them, is the 2 or 3, 5 minutes before a meeting, I'm constantly going to LinkedIn and look at how did we meet? And
Yeah,
going back to that connection note, because
yeah,
I leave them in there and I say, oh yeah, that's it. I just had one gal, Cindy Palmer. I thought it was a whole different connection reason, but Mike Brownfield had connected us. And she's with Vets to Industry. So it's like, yeah. So now it focused me in.
yeah. See, that's it. We don't want to sound egotistical because between us we have about 17,000 connections, but it's really helpful to just put a little note in there. It's a good habit to get into. Now, like you said, you may know that person and they'll probably remember it because you're a memorable guy, Larry, but it's just something to, it's a habit that I would tell you to think about. Okay, so of my 4 returning people, who would like to start with the wins and challenges part?
I'll jump in there and go. So in terms of it's been 2 weeks since, I wasn't here last week. So last time we spoke, I had mentioned that I was getting ready to go through a PMP boot camp, and I completed that and have kind of begun in earnest my 30-day study plan. I scheduled my test for December to kind of hold my feet to the fire, which I may adjust that left if I feel confident. Right now, it's a kind of a big ask to balance that with all the other things that I'm doing. Challenges, I kind of briefly spoke with Matt about. I'm in the process of getting my retirement physical together and just going through kind of the arduous task of remembering back over the last 25 years, all the things that I've, the ailments and times I've been seeing for various things, and annotating that kind of in great detail. So it's not something I want to try to move through it quickly to get it off my to-do list, but it's something that I keep having to go back and remind myself that I got to put the time, energy, and effort into this correctly. So that would be the challenge I'm working through right now.
And I just recommended that you talk to Chad Moniz, because Chad Moniz is someone who's been through the process and definitely can discuss the what he did, and he's a good advocate for it, and he can coach you through some of the things you might think about. There's other people in other MTR groups that have given similar advice, but I think of all the people I know, and plus you guys have similar rank and similar experience, that would be just a really good thing to look at. Okay, who's next?
Let me add one thing on there if I could. And
Please.
it was during the 7 o'clock 2 weeks ago that we were talking this thing with Chad, and I started calculating out, because I got 10% upon retirement. I went to 20% 2 years later, and I just this year, a couple weeks ago, got to 80%. And I was just thinking back, and I did not use a VSO 12 years ago. So I calculated it all out. If I would have got 80% back then, I left $280,000 sitting on the table. That's what it means in terms of not getting 80% 12 years ago.
Well, yeah,
I don't know if I would have got 80%. I don't know if I would have got 80%, but I could have used a VSO and probably got something. So it means direct money. So definitely pay attention, right? To put the time.
Yeah, they just had to be like the largest cost of living increase in the last, 40 years. They just passed that. And for example, somebody that gets 100% disability now is getting an additional $600 a month. So I mean, it's well worth the time and effort to get it.
Yep. I talked myself out of it 12 years ago because my mom had just had a stroke and I was trying to be in Florida to help her out. And I'm disappointed I did, but it is on water under the bridge. So all I can do is help people know.
Thanks for sharing that, Don. Trevor, Paul, or Dee, who would like to be next? And then we'll introduce you, Lindsay.
I can go.
Oh, go ahead. You go first.
I've had a lot of wins recently. I was part of Michael Brownfield's lesson that he talked when you and him and Matt talked last week about helping network within LinkedIn. And that gave me a little bit more insight as to why people are responding, why people aren't potentially, and then just continuing to leverage that. So I pretty much narrowed down the industry that I want to get into, and I have one or two maybe companies that I am extremely interested in. And so helping funnel that down to me was a huge win. And I was able to get one informational interview from somebody who works there so far, and I have at least one more on the way. So that's the route that I'm going right now, because obviously way too early, but I am at least telling them about the SkillBridge program. So maybe that's something that I can set up with them as well, if that's a possibility. So it's just the start of everything. So for me, it's a big win because at least now I know what I'm interested in and why I want to go and what route. So to me, it's huge.
Excellent.
And then
That's
challenges
huge.
for
Good
me.
job.
Thank
Good
you.
job. Yeah.
Challenges will be just continuing to nail down what I need to do for the prereqs to get myself further aligned for the companies, and obviously updating my LinkedIn resume and everything to continue to go on that route. But I mean, it's great connecting with other people and just learning about different experiences of things that I wouldn't have otherwise known had I not connected with them.
So Trevor, let me give you a little visual to think about, okay?
Yeah.
Because you're a pilot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have those points of reference when you are flying in a strange airfield, right?
Yeah.
Okay, think of when you're talking to people as those points of reference and those beacons to help you guide to the right runway that you really want to land at, right?
Right.
So that's my analogy of where you are. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like with practice and with, as your schedule permits and you really focus in on the industry, you're going to find resources so you can really find that runway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don, what do you think?
I think it's an excellent analogy.
Yeah.
Honestly, one of the biggest wins that I had was I reached out to a previous contact that I had who works for a tech company in Austin, and he is leaving one industry to go start his own. And I asked him about the company because I was really interested in the company's business model and what they do and everything. And he says, "Hey man, straight up, don't go. Toxic leadership. I don't trust him." And I looked on reviews on it too, and so I thought maybe he would help clarify. So to me, huge win, because making that connection with somebody else that has your best interest, instead of just saying like, it's fine, go for it. Having the network in place, I think, really makes a huge difference, rather than just blindly applying for jobs and seeing where it sticks.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Paul, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, and Dee, you're my last two. So who's going to go next?
I can go next.
Okay, Dee.
For successes like Larry, I finished a PMP boot camp. Finished that yesterday, I believe. And then I also I finally was able to get in and do my pre-separation counseling at the AFRC. And then upcoming challenges, going to TAPS, that'll be at the end of October. And right up until, I won't start doing any of my medical things till about January, February timeframe. So I have a little bit to wait on that, and then getting set up for SkillsBridge and figuring out if I can do it and who I'm going to do it through.
So when you talk about SkillsBridge, what do you think you want to do as your SkillsBridge? What's your interest?
I'm either looking at Accenture or at Amazon right now.
Okay, two totally different groups. What's the appeal of Accenture?
Accenture is, I have a really close friend that works there. And I mean, she's good people. She's brought on other former coworkers that I've worked with. They're all good people. They all kind of talk about how great the culture is and the climate. So I figure, I mean, if they're saying it's a great climate, that's something I'm interested in. That's something that is important to me when I'm taking that next step and looking in my next career is what is the climate and culture like? And then it's kind of the same thing. I work with, well, former coworkers work there and they talk about how great it is. So it's kind of between those two on which one I'm going to do skill bridge through.
So are you focusing on both of those or are you looking at other options as well?
Focusing on those two for now. Just for now. I'm also, Hire Our Heroes sent me something, like a cohort through them in St. Louis.
Right.
That's my plan C for right now. But I'm trying to figure out what my plan A and B is between Accenture and Amazon first.
Okay.
And we'll kind of go from there.
So I'm no expert in this, but I do know some people that I consider experts. And one of the things that I've learned from them is that, well, Hiring Our Heroes and those are great organizations. You're not limited to them. If you want to do your own skill bridge, you can work through your educational office and your TAP office to get those as well. So I'm not sure the channels. If you run into those things, we know people that could answer your questions. Our friend in San Diego, it's going to come to me about 2 minutes, but there's a guy in San Diego who's like the subject matter expert on all things skill bridge. But sounds like a good plan. But you know, if you run into something, let us know. We know people that can help you get those questions answered.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Paul Welter, how are you, sir?
Doing well, and I apologize. I was having some issues there with my my speaking. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Are you driving somewhere?
Okay.
Are you in a car?
Great. I am my car and talking to us.
Gotcha.
So and I apologize. It's been a busy month or so since I think last time I had a chance to chat with you all. So things are going well and plugging along. Few things I would say just you know, I'm pretty much at that point where I feel comfortable with saying, hey, I've met most of those marks as far as transition. So I've been through all that, retired, moved on, have a job moving along pretty well at this point.
All right.
And things are plugging along. So happy to say that. Few things I would recommend. So I was just listening to the other folks talking, and so when it comes down to going for your disability and VA, a few things I'd recommend. Make sure you're paying attention to your timelines as far as when you need to set up your appointments, whether it's with your service, medical, as well as the VA. Also, definitely use the VSO. I went through the VFW. They were, I had to go through a couple of people with the VFW, unfortunately, and just know that they do kind of seem like they kind of go through, at least here in the DC area, they kind of go through people pretty quickly. I'm not quite sure why that is, but there's the VFW is one option. American Legion, from what I understand, also offers an opportunity there for support. But definitely utilize their services. They'll really pull a few things out to your attention as they'll take the time to review your records. They'll point out key things that you may want to take a look at. You may not even thought were in a thing. Just know they will definitely be helpful and can pretty much bring that timeline along. As far as skill bridge, I would say plan early and keep your options, keep it kind of an open mind, but also I know it's kind of a little bit ominous. You may be looking at separating or retiring. If you have an idea really what field, don't just go into a company just because of the culture. Culture is very important. I'll give you that, but also have an idea about, hey, what is it that you want to be able to do next? And is that a stepping stone to do something else? Keep all those factors in mind and know there's a lot of different opportunities. I know, so I was Air Force Air Force is pretty clear that you have to go with any of the programs that are listed for SkillBridge under the Air Force virtual training site. So, yes, I did work with Hire Our Heroes. And, once again, it's timelines. I was kind of in an interesting time because it was kind of in the middle of COVID. So there's a little bit of a transition, if you will, and not as much movement afoot. So be flexible is what I guess I could say. And then also don't wait for somebody to bring you along. Find some things that will help you maybe fill some of the gaps as far as your skill sets that will make you lucrative as far as a job goes. So for one thing I did, took advantage of the free coursework on Coursera for military who are retiring or separating, and pursued a project management course out there. So that is one of those things you can take a look at. There's a lot of other options out there too. That's just one example. And definitely work with the MTR team here. They've been very helpful in many regards, and also especially sprucing up resumes and also your LinkedIn pages. So definitely take advantage of all that as well. So, and that's about all I have. I'm getting ready to head off to back to school night tonight here right after this. So.
Well, thanks for
Any
joining
questions
us,
for me? Yeah.
And
Any
Paul,
questions for me?
I just sent you a LinkedIn message. You sent, given what you just said when you started of meeting all the milestones for transition and having the job, we ought to talk about alumni. I gave you a little bit of detail in there, but your call when you want to move over to alumni, for everybody, it just basically, you don't have an attendance requirement anymore, but you can always come back and share information just like Paul did. That was excellent stuff.
Yes.
So we're always looking for
Hey, Paul, I
alumni.
got a quick question before you drop off.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I think you kind of broke up a little bit. Could you just go over you mentioned Coursera, and I think you said you did a PMP certification and used that program. Could you explain?
So Coursera has a deal for veterans with Google, and Coursera, someone correct me if I quote this wrong. Coursera is actually, I believe, partially owned by Google, and they actually will. So if you go through Hire Our Heroes, there's a couple of different avenues. You can go through Hire Our Heroes, and you can get basically a grant. It just covers the cost of your monthly fee for taking any courses under Coursera. The other option is if you go into Google has a separate program from Hire Our Heroes, and I think if you just look up Coursera veterans, you should be able to find the link to tie you to what coursework Google has to offer. They have other courses besides the project management. They have, I think they have like 5 different tracks you can train on. So, and then there's a lot of other great stuff on there. So yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm going to add one thing to that. When you use your premium account at LinkedIn, you have access to over 13,000 free courses. So that's another resource. So if you haven't used your LinkedIn premium, that's another way to do that. So it's good to know about that, Paul. Thanks for sharing that. Now we get to introduce our newest member, Lindsay. Lindsay, please take a minute or two to introduce yourself. And if you want, you can talk about your wins and challenges. So.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Madison. I'm actually a military spouse in the middle of a transition. My husband actually just, we're PCSing to Maryland, and I'm transitioning into DEI. I was a special education teacher for my whole life since I was 19, so 16 years now. I'm looking into getting into diversity, equity, and inclusion. So Wins, I actually through LinkedIn. So I'm very new to LinkedIn. We didn't use it as teachers at all. I connected with somebody who was in DEI who then connected me to other people. So I actually have an interview next week because of LinkedIn, which I'm very excited about. Challenges, I have been given advice to do like blurbs or like to write paragraphs to post at least 3 times a week. So I haven't quite wrapped my mind around that as far as what I'm going to post and how I'm going to post it and that kind of stuff. So it's really nice meeting y'all.
So what you're saying, Lindsay, is someone said you should do it 3 times a week, but they didn't define the purpose for why you want to do that 3 times a week. Yeah, you and I need to have another conversation. We can discuss that. I definitely, I don't believe like you have to do 3 times a week. You may, if you're effective a couple times a week, great. It's a habit. Like anything else, it's a habit, right? We were just talking about a habit about 20 minutes ago with connections on mobile. So it's just a habit. But think of it as doing it consistently. Oh, there's that magic word, consistent, right, Don?
Yep.
Consistently doing that, that's, but you have to find your voice too. And it sometimes takes a little bit to find the voice. Okay, great wins and challenges. We've had a great educational minute. Is there someone who has an issue that they'd like to put out for our spotlight portion of our program? So Lindsay, what this is somebody's going to say, hey, these are the challenges. Here's my issue. And everybody's going to, first of all, they're going to ask like informational type questions, and then they'll do give advice. So looking for someone to step into the spotlight. Let me reframe the question. Let's talk about some things that we were discussing here. And let's, instead of having just one spotlight, let's look at a couple of issues. So I've heard a couple of issues. One of the issues was quality content on LinkedIn. Another one was research on SkillBridge, a lot of research on SkillBridge. I think that because of the size of this group, I would like to maybe think about either of those topics. Was there another topic I'm missing there, Don?
Nope. I was thinking, I was kind of looking down at the PMP. Several people are in the PMP. And
okay.
Several people going through the
What?
physical piece, but I think the one you have is good too.
There's 3 topics. Which topic should I put them into the proverbial hat and pull them out? Let's start with PMP, okay? What is it that you hope to get from your PMP certification there, Larry?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's industry recognized. I think I'm an infantry officer. I'm Ranger qualified. So in my mind, you're going into consulting or those types of organizations. If you have your PMP, I kind of attribute or describe it as having your Ranger tab. So you kind of have met the minimum requirements to enter into a field. Whether you do that for your career, it's still something that you can kind of like, it's a little feather in your cap that people know that you've gone through a study program and met one of the premier certification programs out there. I think it enhances my 25 years of experience. It kind of, in fact, when I was going through my application process, I was like, oh, this is fairly easy to put this together because I've been doing this my whole career. It's just So anyways, that's what I hope to get. It's a sense of accomplishment. It's, for me, I think it's also learning a language, the civilian language that I haven't been accustomed to or familiar with. So being able to talk a talk that I can understand the civilian vernacular a little bit more now. And frankly, there's a fear of getting out of the Army and not having, being enough or having enough civilian credentialing. I think it just kind of gives me a little bit more wasta, if you would.
Okay, so I have a question. Maybe somebody else has a question, but if not, I will ask my question. Someone have a question for Larry about PMP?
I had a question. I'm sorry, go ahead, Dee.
No, you go ahead. I'll go after you.
Larry, I'm kind of in the same boat where I'm debating getting my PMP. If you felt that it wasn't necessary to get certain jobs, do you think you would still go to the certification, or do you think that you would wait till the company hired you and then wanted you to go that route if they felt it was important enough?
Yeah, so I think I would still go to it. I think for me, it's kind of been one of those things that I've thought about for a long time, and just, whether I was going to, I didn't know when I was going to do it, but I kind of thought like this would be the cherry on top, leaving the military. So I think I always, if I get out and I go drive a bus, I would still probably spend the time, energy, and effort to get my PMP. So I think it wouldn't matter what I was doing afterwards.
Dee, you have a question?
I don't really have a question. I just kind of have, I just want to add to what Larry said. I think everything he said is true. And when I started talking to my former coworkers that now, specifically, I talked to 2 people that work at Amazon, and I had asked, now that I'm about 9 months out now from retirement, and I had asked, what do you think I should do with this 9 months educationally to prepare for, what's next, whether it's Amazon or anywhere else? Pretty much everybody has said some kind of project management, whether it's the full-on PMP or just going through a boot camp, some kind of training related to that. And that was one of the reasons I'd always been thinking about it, like Larry said, but that was one of the reasons that I actually signed up for a boot camp. And now that I've completed the boot camp, I honestly wish I had done it as a younger senior NCO. I think that there's a lot of good leadership teaching points within PMP as well that they teach. And I know that when you're in the military, whether you're an officer or senior NCO, we do a lot of project management, but I wish that I'd had this earlier, because I think that I don't know. I think it would have benefited me more, and I think it would have made everything a little more organized in how I approach things, and how I just solve problems within the organization. So that's just my 2 cents to add to what Larry had said.
So Larry, because you've taken this program, was there a cost for you?
No, so I went through a program called Vets to PM, and they do credentialing assistance. I looked at it about 6 months ago, and that was if you had done credentialing assistance, especially as an officer, you would have incurred an additional service obligation. They changed that rule, and it just so happened that the timing worked out great, and I'm able to kind of shoehorn it in the last year of my term. But yeah, so it was all through credentialing assistance. They paid for the boot camp. There's a like a 2,000 question simulator that you could get with that bundle, and they also pay for your exam, and they give you a pretty awesome application tutorial that kind of like creates this application for you, which is one of the big hurdles, is getting your application submitted. So yeah, it was free to me. Now I just meet the requirements of going through the boot camp, and then submitting those certifications back into the credentialing program so that I met the requirements for that. So yeah, it was a free cost to me, or it was free to me.
So that's a change that I wasn't aware of, that you can, because I knew that for most enlisted, especially the Air Force, the guys I talked to, you could get that as part of your educational benefits. So that's interesting to know. I mean, changes happen all the time. What about Vets to PM? How did it help you with the credentialing? I've heard that they're really good at that. Was that the resource you used for your credentialing for the hours of project management?
So the hours of project management, the boot camp fulfills that requirement. So you go to a 35-hour boot camp,
Right.
And that meets the 35-hour requirement. In terms of the projects, they put together a Excel spreadsheet that, for example, as an inspector general, we do 4 inspections a year. Well, each one of those is considered a project.
Right.
So, and then all I have to do is demonstrate, and it's really based off of your education. So like if you have a master's degree, and it's not just any master's degree, it has to be a specific master's degree that PMI recognizes. You can do 24 months of project management experience with that specific degree, and you've met the minimum requirement to submit your application. I have 2 master's degrees that don't apply to them. So I went back 36 months. And then it's just, with that 35-hour boot camp plus 36 months of project management experience, you've met the requirement to submit your application. And then that's just, if you've ever deployed a unit, if you've ever run a meeting, if you've ever, done some kind of a change effort, and they kind of walk you through each one that fulfills that requirement. And it's pretty simple to get to, especially if you've got, any amount of time in the military. You do this stuff on a daily basis, running a meeting, those types of things all are considered projects. The challenge is just making sure you have enough of them to equal 36 months.
Thanks for sharing that. Question for you. Project management looks like it's a good fit for you. Is there anything else that you would look at as far as professional certifications to help you in your transition?
My answer is I don't want to go back to school anymore after this. I feel like I'm tapped out on school, but I don't think so. I mean, I think unless there's something that's specific to a job, and frankly, I don't know all the certifications that are out there. That's just kind of one of the big, the big visible ones. So I think if there was something that was, maybe job specific, I would consider it, but nothing else that I'm pursuing.
One last follow-up question, then we're going to move to another topic here. If you got into a job and you saw the need for a professional certification for something else, hypothetically like SPHR, HR or something like that, would you consider that if you felt there was a need?
I would, and I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Onward Opportunity Program. So once you leave the military, you can reach back, and that's why I went through another company to get credentialing assistance, to use that immediate money now. And then if I get out and realize that I want to pursue another certification, I can reach back to Onward Opportunity, and then use that at that point. If you use it now, then you exhaust the resource. So yes, I mean, if there's a need, or if I find myself needing another certification, I would pursue that.
Okay. We really didn't give you any advice. Does anybody have any advice to give Larry? I think he knows where he wants to go. He's pretty clear on that, but is there anyone that'd like to give some advice on this PMP aspect? Okay.
Let me
Why-
jump back in and ask a question. So
Yeah.
I appreciate what you were talking about we've done a lot of things that qualify as a project manager. The question, and you've gone through the boot camp now, does what we did in the military a lot of times doesn't comply with the way that PMI runs project management with all the the documentation, the triangle, the different components, all that kind of stuff. Having gone through the boot camp, does that still interest you to get down to that level of detail? And knowing that you could always move into more of an agile or scrum or a Kanban or something like that.
I'm not sure if I understand exactly what you're saying.
Like,
You
question,
mean like
question is,
getting into
after going through the boot camp, are you still interested in being a project manager?
Yeah, so I think what it's helping me to do is clarify roles in civilian organizations. So when you talk project management, that means different things to different companies.
Exactly.
I think for me, I'm more in the I would like to pursue like the portfolio manager, that level where I'm dealing with. So for example, portfolio manager, develop the west end of town. Okay, so I'm going to manage, housing projects, road projects, sewer projects. Program managers then are going to say, well, I'm going to focus on the housing project. And then the project manager is going to I'm going to focus on building these houses. So I think for me, coming into this thinking, project management, well, I've been doing project management throughout my entire career, but now understanding like the level of project or portfolio management that I want to get into. So I think it's a higher level, but just having that base understanding, I think allows me to have a seat at the table when we're having discussions about what's next.
Okay. So it sounds like you sound like you do enjoy it, having gone through the boot camp, and you want to.
Yeah, I do enjoy it. It's,
Okay.
it kind of reminds me of being like, going back to company or either captain or major kind of work where you're grinding it out, getting kicked in the face every day because their schedules aren't correct. But yeah, I mean, I think I have a penchant for it. So
yeah, good. We've both Matt and I and others have talked to people and they've gone through the boot camp and stuff. And they're like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's way too much. So that was the only gist of the question.
I felt after listening to you, Larry, that you picked the right professional designation, but I did want to challenge you and think, well, what if there's something that comes after I leave the military? And I like the analogy for the Ranger tab. It's like, okay, I get that. I know the significance of that, even though I'm an Air Force guy, right? Okay. I would like to maybe talk about another aspect, and I heard it from two people, and that was the content for LinkedIn. Since we've got a smaller group tonight, let's talk a little bit about content. Trevor, you went to the webinar last week. What was the highlights for you as far as the content creation? What did you pick up from that?
That how active you are makes a big difference.
Okay.
Because it expands your reach, and if you continue to post useful type of content and not just updates on your life. Obviously, it's important to put updates because you need to personalize yourself. But if you have any tangible skills that you feel are helpful to others, more than likely they will respond in kind and post more content that is also helpful for you. And that makes for better connections overall because both people just end up helping each other out naturally instead of it feeling like more transactional.
I like that word, transactional. I was listening to a LinkedIn workshop from one of my colleagues in the business. I wouldn't call her a competitor, but a colleague. And there was a guy on there who was talking about the transactional nature of LinkedIn. And to me, it's like you get a LinkedIn request. Hey, I'd like to sell you on something, right? That's transactional. It's the confidence you get from working with people. So, Lindsay, question for you. Who told you that 3 times a week? I would just don't have to mention a specific name. But what was their intent by having you do that?
So,
I put you on the spot, but that's what this group's all about.
So it was the leader of the Catalyst program. Sorry, my dog. And just to basically get my name out there and have people could like hear my story and just basically advertise myself or market myself. Okay.
I know you're talking about Daniel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, let's break this down just a little bit. Trevor said something just a minute ago saying it's sharing content. Okay, I'm going to ask Trevor a question. What content that you're sharing now on LinkedIn do you think is the most effective for helping others?
Probably the ones that are closest to me because I feel like I can directly impact that.
Is that because you have a relationship with them already?
No, I would say it's the most important to me because I feel that I can help them the most.
Okay.
That's why I find it important.
Larry and Paul or Dee, what do you think about your contributions to LinkedIn and social media? What do you think are the effective uses of your time for using LinkedIn for this?
I think it's. Go ahead. I was just gonna say I think it's important that it's relevant to things that align with your interests in many respects that kind of speak to not who it speaks to who you are, but also areas that you're interested in as well. So but there's probably a caveat to that too. Take it, be cognizant of what you are posting, and also especially if it's coming from a third party, make sure that it's a reliable source that you're also citing. So it is helpful to stick to those that I would say.
If I could just jump in, I would say that I probably missed some opportunities here recently. So, for example, I posted that I, received my retirement orders, and I think that there was an opportunity to, highlight the fact that I finished a boot camp. I got invited back to a Commit Foundation event in October, and highlight those things and kind of talk through as I move through my transition. Like, here's some significant events that I'm working through, and share that transition with other people. And maybe kind of pulling on the thread that Paul just mentioned about making sure what you post. I think I've always had this like reservation about putting things out there. One, just because, being in the military, being an inspector general right now in this job, how that information is perceived by peers, by others, has, we've always been told, like, be careful what you put on social media, it'll come back to haunt you. And I just want to make sure that, what I'm putting out is good content, but they're, kind of overcoming some of that institutional, get beaten over the head and shoulders with this will come back to haunt you stuff. So, but I think for me, I've kind of missed some opportunities with my own personal transition that I could have kind of got some traction.
Did we lose Matt?
I think he dropped
Did you?
off.
Yeah, let me jump right in. I was trying to connect with all the people that were missing today. So sending LinkedIn messages, hope my keyboard hasn't been too noisy. So Matt was talking about PMP. So go back to the last question. Can you hear me okay? Yep, okay. So we're coming down to that last part here. We got about 10 minutes left. So we're going to jump into accountability for 2 weeks forward. He was talking about the PMP, but he was also talking about what was his last subject?
We're talking about content on LinkedIn, just making sure, what's the right amount of content, barriers or anything.
Yeah, we did the 30-day challenge. So Lindsay, you didn't get to see that, but we challenged everybody to post, every day for 30 days. And it didn't matter what you posted, but it was about feeling comfortable in finding your voice. Let me just ask one or two questions there. Is when you guys did that, what came out of you? Not what did you post, but did you feel more comfortable? Did you find a voice? Trevor's saying yes, would go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it became difficult for me over time because I feel I'm not a type of person that likes to hear myself talk. So it's difficult for me to like embellish the same points over and over and if I have something to say, of course I'm going to say it. But if I don't like to post extraneous stuff. So typically I would find myself piggybacking on other people's posts to say like, I found this really important. Hopefully it'll help other people. But I will say it helped me be more recognized by a lot of people because I had people up at work. They're like, oh, dude, I see your stuff on LinkedIn all the time. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that it was being viewed by that many people. So it helped on that aspect. And I think it put me in connections with other people that I was like, you are not even related to me at all. But you know what? Let's make a connection. And
Yeah.
you kind of just follow leads and see where that takes you. And I actually appreciate the way I think there's a little bit of whitewashing when it comes into LinkedIn because there's a lot of people that are putting like they're sometimes toxically positive. But I do appreciate there's a lot of posts that I see that are very real and people that will call things out. And I like that it is a very smart type of mindset and ways to approach things rather than just very personal kind of attacks on things. I think there's a lot of knowledge and logical things that go into people's posts, and I very much appreciate the higher level of intelligence that forces one people off another, and I appreciate the community for that.
Yeah, that was good. I found where I really found comfortable was talking leadership. Right, I'm a John Maxwell team member certified, and talking about leadership and culture and values, and that really flowed me right into talking transition and recognizing good leadership in companies and challenging people to think into, what are they looking for in that company. But I stay away from politics and all kinds of other stuff, right? I just don't want to get into it. And I've clearly separated Facebook, tried to separate Facebook and LinkedIn. My wife keeps trying to get me on Instagram, and I was like, I don't need a third one, but I suppose I'll get there someday. I think all my stuff from Facebook rolls right into LinkedIn or to Instagram, I think. Yeah. So that's what I mean about finding your voice, right? What feels comfortable, what doesn't. That was good, Trevor. Anybody else? Otherwise, we are ready to roll right into accountability. So good discussion. So do always be thinking about what you want to talk about when you come in, right? This is your group. This is your group to leverage the knowledge and experience. And that's what we do in here, Lindsay. The biggest value, CEOs, C-suite people, vice presidents, leaders in companies, they pay thousands of dollars to be in a month, to be in a group like this with other CEOs, C-suite leaders to challenge themselves, to gain other thinking that they hadn't thought about. Hey, Matt. So this is a great opportunity for you to come in and talk about, hey, thinking about resumes, thinking about, selling my values, thinking about this, that, and the other thing. How do you guys do it? What's your thoughts? And so I really challenge you to always be coming in with something on your mind. So it's the most uncomfortable thing when we ask the question and it sits there for 60 seconds with nobody asking, nobody bringing in a question. But this is all about you. So let's go to accountability. Larry, I'm just going to go around the clock here.
Yeah, so I'm fully committed to my PMP study plan. So I'm going to continue to knuckle down and do that. I will say that, I need to also be mindful that sometimes I get like one track mind and focused on one thing and just realize that I need to kind of balance my time a little bit better. So making sure I carve out a little bit more time for other things, not that I'm having trouble with, the family side, but making sure that I don't just burn the candle on both ends, focus on one thing.
That's important. With the leadership lab I'm working on, I just sent out this week this thing called the Wheel of Life, and you evaluate yourself where you're at on spiritual, physical, relationships, financial, professional. You can change some of those, what's important to you. And it helps you kind of focus in on, ooh, yeah, I'm missing that area, right? But sometimes until we look at it and say, I haven't gone to the gym in like 6 months and I picked up 15 pounds.
Yep.
That's when all of a sudden it comes to maybe I need to change. That's good. Trevor, what accountability?
I say oddly similar to Larry. I tend to I don't burn myself out, but I tend to get involved in way too many things at once.
Okay.
So I have my continuous process improvement Lean Six Sigma course through the Air Force that I am completing now. So you can hold me accountable to continuing that, and I should be finished by the time that we're done with our next meeting, which is nice. But you can hold me accountable by
Perfect.
forcing myself to hold myself back and not get involved with too many projects as opportunities start opening up and I start researching things, but not to go down too many paths and get too involved with things, because that is something that I can certainly find myself doing sometimes. And my wife is wonderful for holding me back and reminding me that I need to have time outside of just for myself.
There you go. So I'm gonna have a little fun here with it and say, Trevor, don't be joining other things. I'm expecting you in 2 weeks to have that done, right? Don't give me any excuses, right?
Trevor, I had a visual of my wife, it's the wives when they have what they call the two hipper. You know what a two hipper is? They put their hands on their hips. That's a nonverbal. Lindsay, do you know what I'm saying? You do that, right? And you look at your husband and say, "Are you really sure you're gonna want to do that?" Yeah, it's the single hipper, the two hipper, and then when she puts her tummy out, that's a triple hipper. Yeah.
All right.
I made
Paul
Lindsay laugh.
just had to drop and he said PMP boot camp. He's going to be pursuing a boot camp. So that's going to be his piece. D, and then we'll come over to you, Lindsay.
I would say, kind of like Larry said. Larry said a lot of things that have been, I can kind of relate to today. But scheduling that test for my PMP, explore my Air Force School options to see what they're going to cover, how they're going to cover it, kind of thing. Because I know there's some, like Air Force School, they won't pay for the boot camp, but they'll pay for the certification. So I need to look into that and how to navigate it now that I've completed the boot camp.
Okay.
And yeah, I've got getting ready for TAPS and that kind of stuff, but that's really all I have for accountability as of right now.
Well, those are good ones right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather have fewer that you can commit to than too many. So
yep, I'm in agreement there.
All right, Lindsay, first question. Hope you enjoyed being a part of this today. Can we send you an application to join us?
Yes, absolutely. This is very helpful.
I sent you a connection request a little bit ago. So if you accept that, I can shoot you a application here shortly, or Matt can, either way.
I'll let you do that, Don.
Okay. All right. So what can we hold you accountable for, Lindsay?
So I really liked when you said the 30-day challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do that to help me find my voice. So I would like to be a part of that challenge. Okay. We're not doing it overall, but we can tell you, and we can hold you accountable to it for 14 days, right? And then we'll do it for another 14 days to get you to 28. Is the whole idea is to just make a post every day, something that is in your mind, something that's a thought. Doesn't have to be. You don't try to grade it as, oh, other people have better than me, or I'm not sure this is worthy. If it's a thought in your mind, put it out there. Whether it be on leadership or on transition or whatnot, and connect with these people. And you can look at Larry, you can look at Trevor and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And Matt, you want to add anything? So Mr. LinkedIn.
Michael Brownfield is
Michael Brownfield would be a good one.
He's a good resource. He would be here normally. In fact, we're grooming Michael to be one of our additional coaches, but he had a meeting at his organization that was all hands and he couldn't make it. But I would tell you, Michael Brownfield, BROWNFIEL. He's definitely a good resource for this.
Yeah, and then Matt's got a logo. It says 30-day MTR 30-day challenge on it. If you
haven't seen, our guy Bruce just sent me a logo with the purple color. It says 30-day MTR challenge. I'm looking at that, how to integrate that. That's cool.
Yeah.
If you do 30 days, we'll get you the little circle around your picture.
Yeah. So we're at the top of the hour, so I want to be careful. We have a webinar that's being advertised now with Portraits for Patriots next Wednesday. So pay attention to that. We've got another one coming up at the end of the month with a gentleman from Boeing who does recruiting.
And we have our Sammy thing.
Yeah, and let me finish. And then he's got, and he's going to be talking about gaps in your experience, lack gaps in your LinkedIn, gaps in your resume, and how to explain it. So this is a guy who's doing recruiting for LinkedIn for Boeing. And then we are setting up one on the 18th. We're going to advertise a panel talking about some different aspects. So it just happens to be 3 this month, so it's going to be busy. We just had one last week, so we won't always be every other week, but these just kind of fell in place. Matt, anything else?
I'm looking for, Trevor, thank you for the nice words about that. The actual complete webinar is on the MTR group chat, and you can watch that in your entirety. And you're right, there's some really good stuff in there on the strategy. Lindsay, I will send you a link to that, because I know you're not part of you didn't know how to get to the MTR group, but there is a group chat in LinkedIn that we're doing that. One last thing, you were going to mention Slack.
Yeah. So
Slack.
I did not get it done, but right now we've been doing communication via threads on LinkedIn. So, in the messaging piece, you can put 50 people on a thread, but there's no organization of that. So we've been exploring, and we're going to move that to Slack. So I'll be adding you guys into Slack. You should see an invite. So accept that, and then I'll get you some guidance about how we're going to use that. But it allows us to have a conversation by cohort, but we can also do it by topic, or we can just do it overall. So there's different ways that we can communicate, and then it ties the threads of a conversation together.
Yep.
So in LinkedIn, if I say something today and then something in 5 days, but it's the same subject, it's separated by tons of, on Slack, it'll tie it together. So there's much of neat opportunity there. So thanks for the reminder on that.
By the way, Don, thanks for covering for me. It's great that when technology decides it wants to take a nap, that I had you as my backup. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay.
I had a slight dip because I've been in the process. We had a lot of people who are missing today, so I've been trying to send messages and see what's going on.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
okay.
All right. Everybody have a great couple of weeks, and look forward to seeing you. Thanks for all the conversation.
You too.
Bye-bye. Yeah, so Matt, Larry, you're going to stay real quick. So we're doing this thing with SAME in 2 weeks on the 18th. What we're going to do is have a panel. And I thought it would be neat to have you in the panel, and the topic. See where I have my notes today. Here it is. Was excelling your value. And between that and you also had created quite the spreadsheet. Now I can't think of the topic. Matt brags about it.
What?
Yeah, it was a transition kind of Excel spreadsheet. Yeah.
So
that's a resource there, Larry. I know I've referred 2 or 3 people to you for that, so they can see that, because they're all saying time management and looking at what you're doing. Okay, you have your job, you have your transition, you got all your medical stuff. You're also coaching your son's football program. Is it 3 times a week?
Yeah, 3 nights a week.
Yeah, it's like, okay, got to have something to keep track of all that. You're just an amazing guy.
Well, I tell you what, I would love to. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yep. I'll get you more information. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't. I was just, the thing about it, Don, you and I finished each other's sentences very well.
No, I mean, I felt like I cut Larry off. I apologize.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, having listed out all of that stuff that I'm doing, and sometimes I wonder if I'm doing too much, just the process of going through, filling that document out, like just kind of focused my mind into, just help me prioritize things. I think if people would just go through that exercise of putting things down on a document or putting things on paper and like looking at it, it just, like, for me, it was like a huge point of clarity and just organization. So it was very helpful in that.
Yeah, that's what so many people need. All right, so I'll get that. I'm going to talk to some other people, and we'll send out. Expect something early next week. And but block 6:30 p.m. on the 18th of October.
Got it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, gentlemen. Sounds great.
You guys, do you have a good night?
All right, you too.
John Cena,
Hey, hey,
in
Matt,
a few minutes, yes,
I'm gonna show you something real quick, Matt, before you drop.
please, please.
Just doing attendance and stuff here. So
I saw it,
I think Paul Welter and Eric Cunningham probably both moved to
yes,
alumni. So I've
yes,
sent messages to both of them because I haven't seen that we've talked to them about it. So I just don't want to move them until they say yes.
yep,
Alex Majinery,
I
that's
think
the
he's
last
moving,
three. I think I don't see anything that he's got a new job, but I don't see him committed over here. He's always been kind of iffy.
yeah,
So I'll see what he responds back with. Samantha, obviously enough, never gave us a,
yep,
so she's an invitee. She's
Right.
never given us a, INVITE.
right,
She's never given us an application either. So I think she's probably
Right.
good. But I see she's got a new job.
well,
in
UN
Japan.
did send us a note saying she had a commitment, I saw that, so there
Oh,
was,
did she?
she
That's what I was
did,
gonna, that's what I was
Yeah,
gonna
she
ask
did.
you. What,
She did.
any idea what kind of commitment?
Sound like work commitment. Okay. It was a work, there was a message she sent me just saying I can't make it because of work commitments, which means
Okay.
that she had something, maybe an exercise. You
Yep.
know, she's busy over there and
I got it. And
okay,
then Bobby Puckett, I shot him another note and said, hey, I
Yeah.
haven't seen an application. If you don't have it, here's the application again. Are you interested? What's
Okay.
going on?
okay.
And then these three people down here, Gage Andrews, Ken Ware. So now,
Peter Sella is typical, he's got TBI. And he needs someone to remind him of things. So
that's why we send out reminders.
I know, but I don't know. I will take upon myself to call Peter, say, hey, what's the deal, buddy? You know,
Okay.
I will get with him.
All right.
All right.
So question is, Ken Ware, the LinkedIn URL for Ken goes to Jennifer. Is that supposed to be a Jennifer Ware or is it wrong? What do you?
Well, look, first of all,
Well, that was actually me.
That's you, man. That's not me.
Did I talk to a Jennifer Ware?
And Gage Andrews, I invited him. I think you could just say not interested. Okay. Overwhelmed. He's a younger person, overwhelmed.
Okay.
Okay. It may be the way we explained it to him. Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
All right. So I'll go back and figure out Ken.
And
Ware.
by the way, I went to look at the attendance and there you were. Thank you for doing that.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
That's what I'm supposed to be doing while you're.
I understand, but again, like I said, thank you.
Yep. I went back on it was Shirley. I just don't know if she's going to continue.
Who's that?
Shirley. We had quite the absence list on the 10 o'clock group the other day too, didn't we?
The only thing I think that could be a factor is this little thing called end of fiscal year.
Yeah, but you know, it's
Yeah, I
gonna be one
know.
of those to expect.
I know. I gotcha. I'm looking at like, what are the facts? What could cause it? I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, okay. Right.
So I can't remember if you talked this morning on this, but Bernard and I were talking yesterday.
Yeah.
He said, man, it sounds like everybody I'm talking to is part of MTR. I said, you guys are really, I said, yeah, we got 65 in the program, 75 graduates. He goes, are you kidding me? I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's going really well. I said, but you know, the one thing that's frustrating is this tracking attendance, people overcommitting and not.
Just like Trevor said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Piece that didn't happen here was, did any of these people show up? Amy, Takia, Irma, Steve, Ben?
No.
None of them?
No.
Now Irma surprises me. I talked to her.
No, Irma was there. Look.
Okay. So you didn't fill out this part of attendance. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, maybe I got the names wrong. It's Irma Smith. I moved her up there. She did attend.
Not Takia. Oh yeah, you put her here. You put her Irma Jones.
It's Smith.
Yep.
Okay, made a mistake.
Did Takia?
Takia is I don't see her as a strong candidate.
Okay.
She's kind of like
she was not there this week.
I say
Stephen Michael's the same.
Yeah.
Ben Austin's probably a brand new. You just invited him last week.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, I gotta go eat some dinner, so I'm ready for the next one, okay?
All right. I've got the lead on the next one, so I will
All right, see you then.
see ya. Bye.
Bye.